Hello, everyone, and welcome to the online meeting with SWPS University. Today, we will try to answer your questions related to the admissions process, to our programs of study in English language. Of course, our time is quite limited, therefore you shouldn't worry if we won't cover all the topics that you are interested in, because this is one of the 6 webinars that we have planned for you. So there will be definitely plenty of time to cover all important topics also in the future. I have to point out that this webinar is funded by the Polish National Agency for Academics Exchange under the Welcome to Poland program project, which is called SWPS University Ambassadors. My name is Adrianna Zalewska, and I'm an admissions officer. However, after the working hours, I'm also a student of SWPS University, and I'm here today with some special guests. First, I would like to introduce Ms. Katarzyna Wojtkiewicz, who is a coordinator of Management Graduate Program in Warsaw. Hello, Katarzyna.
Hello, good afternoon.
Next, we have Ms. Agata Sobków, who is the coordinator of Psychology Undergraduate Program in Wrocław. Hello.
Hi, hello everyone.
There's also with us Vera, who you might already know. She is a student of English Studies, and she's been cooperating with us for some time now. Hi, Vera.
Hi, everyone.
I will be talking today with my guests about, of course, our university. However, in the meantime, you can ask questions in the chat box next to the video, where Dorota, my colleague, is at your disposal. So I'm positive that we'll cover some topics here with our guests, but feel free to ask Dorota anything. She will be definitely helpful. There's also one more thing that I have to say before we start, because admissions for the 2022-2023 academic year opened yesterday. So you can apply for your dream studies anytime now. I think that's the most important part of this webinar, that you can apply anytime now. So enough with the beginning. I think that we can now move on to the webinar. I think we should talk for a moment about what you can expect from the SWPS University, how it looks studying here. First of all, of course, we offer bachelor studies and master studies. Apart from that, you can apply for language courses of Polish and English language. I have to strongly encourage you to visit our website, where you can find specific details about each program, each course, about scholarships, fees, and so on. As during today's meeting, we'll concentrate mostly on our offer of studies in English. So topics such as fees and scholarship we'll cover next time. So that's why I send you to the website, and you should check all those detailed information there. So let's talk about what you can expect from SWPS. So I would like to first ask Ms. Katarzyna, how does working with students from all those different countries, different cultures looks like? And how do you find it? Is it different from working with Polish students?
Well, answering in a few words, I would say that this is just as in real life, because in real life, doing the management, you meet many people from different countries, from different cultures, different characteristics. So being aware and studying within such people already is like practicing what you study at the same time. And is it different from studying, from working with Polish students? Yes and no. I mean, all the societies, all the groups are in some way multicultural, even if the nation is the same. The people coming to us from different origins, with different experiences. So also the Polish groups are quite diverse. However, of course, in the English courses, in the courses provided in English, you see already how different management itself is in those different geographical areas. So when doing projects, which is very quite often provided at our studies, that you work through the projects, that you work in the teams, you experience not only your perspective or the teacher perspective, but also the perspective of other students and other cultures. Like we have, for example, discussions between students from the Turkish students and Asian students who discuss, is it individual approach for management or group approach for management, which is more effective, and they discuss, and at the end they know that it might be this one, it might be another one, but you learn with our studies which approach could be more effective when you are working in a given project, given environment. So this is, I think, the great strength of our studies, that the management is not a claustrophobic area. It's not not a box, not a closed box. It's the interactions with the other people, and what you practice studying with people who are different from you is exactly what you can learn from our courses.
Yes, well, I definitely agree with what you said. I see that in the working in the international admissions office, that you can only benefit by talking to people from all over the world and working with them. The same question goes to Ms. Agata. Do you have similar experience? How do you see this working with people from those different cultures?
This year we are just starting the undergraduate program in English in our faculty in Wrocław, but we have already good experience with PhD students from different countries and cultures. For example, we have PhD students from India, from Pakistan, from Ukraine, and as I contact with them, I work with them. In my opinion, this work is very similar to the work with just with Polish students. Within the psychology, we know that people differ, and we need to cope with different people, even within this our own Polish culture. So I think that that it is not an exception case that we meet with people with different backgrounds.
And Vera, how about you, from the student's perspective, so from the completely different perspective, how studying in such diverse group of people looks like, and how do you find yourself in such group? Maybe you have some, did you ever had some trouble with communication, or maybe some cultural differences were difficult for you?
Well, I have to agree with what was said. I think there are only benefits to being in a diverse group. And in my studies, because I am in English studies, we do have a lot of international students. So although there is a majority of Polish students, I feel like they also see the advantage of speaking in English. I mean, it's how we learn as well as how we better ourselves. And it's definitely the best way of being prepared for the real world, as it was said. So most of us will end up joining major companies who are international companies, and especially this year and even more next year, inclusivity and diversity are the main focuses of these big companies, because it has been such a big issue. And what other better way of fighting this problem than growing up and learning in an environment that is international. And I also have people in my class from Ukraine, from Russia, from Turkey, and places I haven't visited, and I haven't had the opportunity to visit yet because of the pandemic. And it's a wonderful way of learning about the culture and the countries.
To sum up, you can only benefit from working and studying in the international environment. Okay, so I think that we should talk about programs a little, and we have to definitely start with the psychology, as this is the most popular program at our university. So Ms. Agata, could you please tell in a few sentences, characterize the field of psychology in English and what our future students can expect from it?
At SWPS University, we offer both the bachelor's and master's degrees programs in psychology. So we have these two steps. our future undergraduate students could choose the location from this year, whether they prefer to study psychology in Warsaw, so the capital of Poland, or in Wrocław, one of the biggest cities in the Western Poland. I'm the coordinator of the psychology in English in Wrocław, so I will talk mainly about this location. And both of these programs are very similar and include core courses that covers the most important aspects of psychology, such as emotions, motivation, cognition, personality, individual differences. But what is quite specific that, of course, each location have their strengths. And for example, in Wrocław, we have a great faculty that specializes in economic, social, and health psychology. So within the elective courses that are offered within our program, we will cover this field. So the economic psychology, social psychology, health psychology, and so our future students should be interested in how the human minds work, and what is quite important, they should be proficient in English at least the B2 level. And after finishing this undergraduate program, the students could continue their education at SWPS University at graduate level. And this master's program is currently located in Warsaw, but we also plan to prepare a similar offer in Wrocław in the future.
Yes, that's correct. To clarify, the bachelor studies in psychology are offered both in Warsaw and Wrocław. However, the master studies in psychology are offered only in Warsaw. So the psychology in English program, this is the only English program offered in Wrocław at the moment. As far as the masters goes, you can choose either the clinical psychology or applied psychology. And I think that what makes our university quite unique is that our psychology program is split in 3+2, which means that bachelor studies last 3 years and master studies last 2 years. So you can first go to the bachelor studies, for example, in Wrocław, and then come to Warsaw and study the master program in clinical psychology. Okay, so I have the same question to Ms. Katarzyna, but this time, of course, please characterize your program, the management program.
Yes, the management program, which is provided here in Warsaw for both levels, so BA studies and master studies, has a curriculum which is standardized on one hand, so you can expect everything which is like a mass, like a frame for management studies in the top universities. Why in the top universities? Because in social sciences, our university is ranked among the highest positions in this part of Europe. So you will have your courses provided by really experts, like by people, professors who are famous from the research. But we also have our unique character, let's say unique face of our management, and this is being a human-centric and being using a lot from psychological divisions of our university, which makes our program not being only like a standardized, giving you the tools. Giving the tools for a manager to have an effective management, effective meaning in this old style, so that the company will produce more products and will earn more money, etc. But also being effective in this modern human-centric way. So benefiting to the well-being of your staff, of your organization, of your stakeholders, of your clients. And in our courses, among our courses, you'll find a lot of courses, a lot of subjects which refer to psychological side of organization. from the perspective from individual. So we teach how to manage yourself as a manager, how to become a leader, how to become the efficient professional manager minding people, because the management is it's a social science, but it's a social science which manages the most important assets of the people, and also to manage the teams, to manage the projects, to manage the organization. So this is really the strength. And when I'm talking with our students at the final years, as I'm doing the internships, the program also at our faculty, when I'm talking about the impressions and what they found as this unique thing at our university, they always say, we learn that the organization, that the management is about the people. It's not about the technology, however, it's important, and you have a course, of course, about the big data, about modern technologies. It's not about economy, even though you have the courses about managing of the balance sheet or profit and loss account. It's not about the law, even if you have the courses about the legal side of the organization and all this kind of stuff. But at the end, it's about the managing organization, meaning managing the people, managing yourself as a staff, managing your relation with other colleagues, and managing the team and organization. And this benefits because then our students can use this knowledge not only as completing their CV and the curriculum, but they can use this knowledge to be really efficient worker, efficient professional in any kind of job that the person can choose.
Okay, so during the management studies, you also manage yourself.
Exactly.
Learn how to
have one course is about at master studies. One course is about provide some gaming. When you teach, you are like using machine learning. Like okay, you can learn about yourself because you get the feedback and from using some specific software, and then at the end you learn a lot about yourself, about your strengths, about what you can further develop. So this is provided in our courses. We are very proud of it.
That's great. There's only one thing I have to add, which is the language requirements, because Ms. Agata already said that for the bachelor's and master's studies in psychology, you have to have at least B2 level of language of English, and the same is with the bachelor's and master's studies in management. The only exception as for our studies, as for our offer, is the master studies in English studies, where you have to have at least C1 level of English. But of course, these are not the only fields of studies in our offer. Apart from psychology and management, we also offer English studies, as you can see, because Vera is a student. So Vera, since you're of course students of English studies, maybe you could say a few words about your classes, because we are often asked whether English studies program is fully conducted in English. So maybe you could say, how does it look like?
Yes, absolutely. So I unfortunately do not speak Polish. So yes, the English studies are conducted fully in English. But it's important to keep in mind that we have two different paths we can choose. So we have English studies with a foreign language, in which we have a couple of hours of a foreign language that could be from Italian, French, Polish, Chinese, German, Japanese, and Spanish, if I'm not mistaken. But out of those last four ones, so Chinese, Japanese, German, and Spanish, we have something called extended courses. So besides focusing on English, we have a specific focus with more hours dedicated to those foreign languages and cultures as well. So in my case, I am studying French, not extended. And besides the foreign language, the main focus will be essentially divided in four aspects. The first being linguistics, so something like phonetics, phonology, morphology, the parts of the English language. And then we have literature as well and history. And we focus on both perspectives, American as well as British. besides that, the fourth one, which is the most exciting for me, so this is something that I find really interesting about SWPS, is that for English studies, they offer different tracks a student can choose from. So in my case, I'm specializing in business, but if I spoke Polish, I could specialize also in the translation track. So I could have a career in translation. There's also cultural studies, so those people have subjects. I don't have, I believe, classical studies as well. And then we have teaching, so that's also, I think, a very wise career path nowadays. And yes, besides that, we have an internship. So all students should get credit for an internship that they acquire also with the help of the university if needed. And yeah, another important thing to mention, as Ada said, it's also a 3-year bachelor, and we can choose from weekend studies or full-time studies, and I'm currently doing full-time studies.
That's true. You said one important thing as for the tracks that you might choose. The translation track is only available for native speakers. So in order to be able to go through this path, you have to be a native speaker, with a Polish citizenship. So that's an important part. But there are 3 other paths that you can choose. So there is something to choose from. I have to say that you have to keep in mind that the next webinar, during which we also will talk about our offer at SWPS, is on the 22nd of March. We'll talk more about English Studies and Design program, because this is another program offered in English, with our lecturers and Ibrahim, a student, a graduate of psychology program. So you will be able also to hear from the expert perspectives, such as like Mrs. Katarzyna and Agata talk about management and psychology right now. So you will be able to hear from the expert from the lecture point of view about English Studies and Design. So I just invite you right now that the webinar regarding the English Studies and Design will be in 2 months from now, because as I said, our time is limited and we wouldn't be able to talk about all the programs in detail. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about career prospects. I would like to ask Ms. Agata, who are psychology graduates and what kind of career prospects do they have?
I think that the most popular career for psychologists is this, being a clinical psychologist, the psychotherapist. It's a very demanding way. You have to learn a lot on the different stages, but I think that this is the most popular one. However, our bachelor studies give you a very solid foundation of psychological knowledge and skills that are essential also in different sectors, not only in the clinical one. So being a bachelor in psychology, you can work, for example, in education, work with children, in the healthcare, giving some advices to people how could they behave to be more healthy, in marketing, in human resources. So in many different fields in which this knowledge and psychological skills could be helpful. And as I mentioned before, this program gives you some basics and opens you possibilities to continue education at graduate level. So in my opinion, it gives you the very broad prospect and shows you the possible path in which you can choose in your future.
Yes, but there's one thing that we often hear from our students or our future students is the question whether after the Masters of Psychology, can I be a psychotherapist? And the answer is No, you are not. It's not that easy. You're also, after the clinical psychology program, you're not a clinical psychologist. You have masters in psychology, but in order to become a therapist or a clinical psychologist, you have to go through some internships or finish the psychotherapy school, which usually lasts for years. So please check what kind of path you want to choose for yourself, and verify the information, what kind of internships or schools you have to additionally finish after the masters, and in which country, because it differs from country to country. So that's the one thing to remember. Okay, so the same question will be to Ms. Katarzyna about the management program. Who is a management graduate?
The management graduate also can use his diploma, undergraduate diploma or graduate diploma, in all three sectors. So in working in industry, working in public domain, and working in NGOs. So application of this knowledge is really very wide. The most obvious function is like a manager. So the manager who manages his own business. This is quite a big group of students who already have started their business, or they have plans for family business, and they need tools, they need the competences to run it properly, effectively, to design the strategy of such a corporation, their own corporation. So this is the one use case, let's say. The second is, of course, in a corporation. So all levels of the managerial posts in the corporations are much more approachable because of having this knowledge and this diploma. But also, many of our students go further or choose our studies because they are subject matter expert in any area, like engineering, like being IT developer, like being designer, like many professions, like being psychologist. And they need to obtain more skills and more knowledge of in a managerial area, because they need to organize work in the of experts, of subject matter experts of their own, using those managerial skills. So indeed the range of posts and places in your future life, having done masters and undergraduate studies, is really huge. But we do not leave our students without some support to choose what is the most adequate, where they will feel best. As I said before, we are human-centric, and it also refers to our students. We are student-centric as well. So we are having at the master program, we're having a tutoring program. And this allows our students to have the individual tutor among our professors. So there is a list of professors, the area of expertise, but not only from the academic point of view, but also from personal point of view. So to pair well the student and the tutor. And during this tutoring program, the student receives help for the career development, for studying, for choosing the more focused area of the study. So it's really a rewarding program. I myself am being a tutor, and I have close relationships with my students who already today are in a managerial post. One is he started from being an IT developer actually. Then he was graduated from our master program, and his career, this diploma allowed him, and competences of course, allowed him to go higher in the hierarchy. So now he's managing the projects, in fact, not being only responsible for some code, but also responsible for some huge result of the projects that they are doing. So it's not an easy question. What you can do as after our studies, but the good point is that there are many options, and that we also can help you if you need such a steering.
So same as with the psychology, there are lots of those doors open, and actually you can do a lot of things, choose a lot of paths, and you have a lot of options. Mm-hmm. Well, while talking about career prospects, I have to ask you, Vera, about your experience, because we are often asked about working in Poland without speaking English. Polish, sorry. Is it possible? How it looks like? So could you please tell about your experience, because I find it quite intriguing.
Yeah, so my decision of coming to Poland was also based on the job market in Warsaw. I was looking for a place where I wouldn't have to speak the country's language to be able to work, and I wanted to be able to be financially independent from my parents. So I knew that in my first year of bachelor's, I wanted to work at least part-time. And my first opportunity was actually with SWPS. So SWPS organized a program during the pandemic where we provided tutoring, so English tutoring or Portuguese tutoring or French tutoring to staff members and family members of the staff. So that was my first sort of job in Poland. And 2 months after arriving in Warsaw, I received an email from the careers office of SWPS, and I saw that they were promoting some job opportunities in big companies that I had heard from the news and TV. And I was like, okay, why not? It's a pandemic, we have a lot of time. And I ended up starting in human resources. So this is something that was mentioned as well. I am from languages and literature, and my first experience was in human resources. And while I was working in this energy company, I was working in a team that came from psychology and from management as well as from Swedish studies, and most of them from SWPS actually. So it is really intriguing to see that all of us had different paths and we had different skills, but we end up in the same career path. So it's not like studying languages or studying psychology will keep you from experiencing whatever you want to experience. I think that the SWPS courses are extremely flexible, and with help from the admissions office and from the careers office, it's really easy to sort of design our own path. And after working for almost a year, I started working in communication, also in an energy company, and this is also similar to the case that was described before. So now I'm not only doing branding for the company in terms of communication, I'm also learning a lot about cyber security, because I'm in the IT department. So it's nothing I thought I would ever do, but it's very exciting. And who knows, maybe one day I'll decide to have a degree in computer science as well, and one day management, so that I can be a project manager. So yeah, it was extremely easy to find a job in Poland, and yeah, I was able to achieve my goals. I'm able to be financially independent, and both the professors as well as the companies are very keen on helping the students balance out work and studies as well as a social life. So I feel very, very privileged, and I encourage everyone to consider that when applying as well.
You could also say that you work part-time with the admissions office, right? Because you are part of the Ambassadors Project, in which you take part in webinars. You took part in success stories videos, which are going to be available on our website next week. You also will be part of the virtual admissions office, which also will open next week in February. So all of you who are watching can sign up to meet Vera and ask her questions regarding her studies in Poland, her moving to Poland, her experience. Of course, Vera won't be able to answer all questions regarding the admissions process. Those questions you should ask us, but she will be available to answer the questions regarding the studies, moving to Poland, and so on. Okay, so that will be it for the program. I have to now talk about little bit about the online education, as it's not about the program, but it's the mode of studies. It's how you get the education, how you get the knowledge, how you communicate these days. For the past 2 years, we've been living in a completely different reality, and therefore the mode of studying has changed at every university. Everyone had to adapt. So I want to ask my guests about the online education at SWPS and what are pros and cons of studying online, what changed, how it looks like these days, and how do you feel about it? So maybe we'll start with Ms. Katarzyna.
Yes, indeed. I remember 2 years ago in March, there was an announcement that, okay, don't come to the university facilities. We will have an online courses. And it took 1 week, exactly 1 week of accommodating to this new reality. And I must say that we were one of the best performing university in terms of technology. So we were, it only that time turned out that we were prepared, that we are technologically advanced in this way that we could really, without almost without break, just this 1 week, we could undertake all the courses fully online. Then the frequency was 100% for first months, and I must say myself, I was really I like it very much. I first saw all advantages of the situation, so I can immediately contact with the students. We can easily work in the groups because we don't need to find the common place and common time, but only common time. So that was easier. Also, saving times of trips and traffic jams, that was an advantage that which I saw that time. Working effectively online on the projects. We have a lot of techniques, a lot of tools at our university, both on the professor sides and on the student sides. So this is really well working. But also, of course, after a few months, we also started to see some disadvantages of this, and this is this social contact, which we all need so much, and the face-to-face meetings and handshakes and not distance instead. So, of course, we have to adapt to the regulations or the rules which are given by the government, so we cannot invent them, let's say. And presently, for our English courses, all studies are online. Also because the different situation in different countries and travel arrangements, so that was the only option. But we look forward to having the on-site courses much more frequently, even in the summer semester of this year, and we hope that in the following academic year, so the year that you can apply for, that we will be in a, let's say, regular mode of studying. However, we want to keep some advantages of online teaching. So there are some courses that they really benefit from the fact that you can sit in convenient place on the computer, and this is very good way to have so-called learning outcomes passed through this this mean of communication. So we will surely use the competences that we learned from the period of online online learning. But the mood is going to be, if pandemic, of course, allows to, is going to be much more on-site teaching in the following academic year.
Yes, that's true. It's hard to predict what will happen in October. We have to work according to the global situation because, well, of course, programs offered in English language are not only Polish students are part of those programs, but international students, and currently situation all over the world is different. So the same question goes to Ms. Agata about the online education. What was your experience and what can we expect next year, next semester?
My opinion is very similar as the one that was presented previously, but our intention is that the majority of the classes in the psychology program in Wrocław will be on site. We especially ones that require acquiring and developing practical psychological skills. So these classes especially will be taught in the building. We hope so. Nevertheless, because we also had very good experiences and positive feedback from students about some courses, for example, some lectures or group projects. We also want to keep them these courses online, and thus probably we will go in some kind of hybrid mode in this psychology in English program, depending on the situation and the course requirements and this learning outcomes that should be acquired by students.
Okay, and Vera, how about you? Because of course you have a completely different perspective from the students' perspective. So how was it with you?
Yeah, so I remember when I was applying, we were already in a pandemic situation. And one of my biggest securities regarding SWPS was that when I was applying, I already knew, okay, it's going to be online. I can be sure of that, and this is how it's going to be. And I didn't have that feedback from other universities who are, we don't know, we'll see it closer to the date. And that gave me a lot of anxiety, actually. So I realized that this must be a good sign. It must mean that they are prepared to take on this virtual educational world. And so yeah, I was not disappointed. I found it extremely organized, and I really valued that. So the website created for the students, the platforms created for the students. So using the SWPS platforms, but also the Google Drive and Google Meet. So everything was really user-friendly. So there were no big concerns in having to learn how to use certain softwares that some universities are using. And in the first year, I also tried to see mostly the advantages. I was in a new country, and of course I wanted to meet people, but safety was my main concern. So I felt really glad that I wasn't being forced to go in a situation where I didn't feel safe. And I also found that for the work I'm currently doing, for instance, most big companies are going into a hybrid mode. So it is important to know how to present yourself online and not only in front of a big live audience. It is equally as important. And a lot of people with a lot of experience were lacking that as well. So I feel like there are some real advantages to this, especially in the business world. And, in psychology as well, people are having online appointments with psychotherapists as well. So it is important to know how to communicate through the screen as well. And I felt like I had advantages, of course, when it comes to time. I was able to, have a lot of hobbies and do the part-time in work as well, and not having to travel. Of course, all of those are advantages. And of course, I do miss the social part, and that's something I experienced when we started having the hybrid mode in SWPS. So one of my semesters, I did go to school once a week, and I at first I was nervous. It was out of my comfort zone, and then I just realized there's something so good, such a good feeling about being with other people in real time. So I think that, in my opinion, the hybrid mode is the best combination. And I feel like most of our students and professors really saw the advantages and grew with time as well and perfected their online skills. So as it was mentioned, when we are collaborating with other people, it is really easy to just have one document shared and all of us can collaborate. And I really see the advantages in that. And yeah, when it comes to lessons, I also saw that there is a really big incentive to, for instance, have our cameras on, participate. And I think that's something that I really value from SWPS. And I have friends who are not having that experience in other universities. So I'm really glad that there is this motivation for the students. And of course, I love our campus. It is completely renovated in Warsaw, and I miss it. I am expecting to go into the hybrid mode again for the next semester in March. So I'm excited for that. But to be fair, I am fine with both ways, or yeah, I see advantages in both ways.
That's a good point that you said, that from the student's perspective as well. I think that the hybrid mode would be the best when you have lectures online and workshops at the university, when you can meet people and work in groups. Well, we will see how it will look like. If possible, we'll definitely move back to the university and switch back to the on-site mode. But as all of us said, we'll work according to the situation, to the global situation. The webinar is coming to an end, so I strongly encourage you to ask any questions in the chat box, because this is the last moment to do so. In the meantime, Dorota sent me a question from someone in the chat, and it says, I would like for Ms. Adriana to clarify what she said when she said that when you finish your master's in clinical psychology, you are still not considered a therapist. So, Ms. Agata, could you please explain how it looks like and clarify this information?
I think that different countries and different psychological societies have different legal requirements about working as psychotherapist. But based on my knowledge, to be a good psychotherapist and to legally work as one in many countries, you have to do having both the MA degree in clinical psychology and additional psychotherapy school. As well as Ms. Adriana said, you also need to have a special practice, internship, supervision. So our program, first BA, then MA program and clinical psychology, is just a start to this way to be a therapist. It's not, we are not excluding this path, so you can do also many different things, and we give you a good start, but still you have to keep in mind that you have to continue education and, for example, in psychotherapy school and have supervision to be a psychotherapist.
That's correct. That's true. I want to go this path, so I'm quite familiar with how it looks like. And I know that after my master's studies in psychology, I'm just a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I see that there's another question, also a similar one. Does the master's studies in clinical psychology qualify you to practice as a therapist anywhere else in Europe? So it's hard for us to answer how it looks like in other countries. There are a lot of educational systems. We can only talk about Poland, as we exactly know how it looks like. So in order, as Ms. Agata said, in order to become a therapist, you have to go, and after finishing your master's studies in psychology, you have to undergo a psychotherapist school. So if you plan to do your master's studies in Poland, and then you want to become a therapist somewhere else in the world, in other countries, you have to check their educational system, how it looks like there, what they require, how many hours of internship they require. It's not that easy, so you have to, clarify in which way you want to go, in which country, and just clarify this information. So that will be it for today. We don't have any more questions from what I can see. Hopefully we resolved some doubts. If you have any additional questions, of course, feel free to ask them via phone, via email, or book an online meeting with us, also with Vera or other students that will be available for you. So I want to thank you all for today. And of course, I want to thank you so much for my guests that they participated in this online meeting. Today, I had pleasure to talk with Ms. Katarzyna Wojtkiewicz.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
There was also with us Ms. Agata Sobków.
Thank you.
And of course, Vera, our English studies student.
Thank you, everyone.
Just quick reminder, admissions opened yesterday, so you can apply anytime you want for programs, of course, conducted in English. If you want to apply for a program conducted in Polish, then admissions will open in the middle of April. So once again, thank you so much, and hopefully see you at the university.